Today we're going to talk about sharpening lawnmower blades, but before we start sharpening any blades, I'd like to show you a comparison of what happens to a lawnmower blade over a period of time. If you can see, I have two blades side by side. On the inside I have a new blade, on the outside I have a used blade, and I'm going to put them back together again so I can illustrate my points here. If you will notice, I've got them lined up, and I'm lined up on the other end. Look how much metal we've lost off of the end of this blade over a period of time. And your cutting width is only a couple of inches on the very end of the blade. Look right here. This is our new blade on the inside, running up, and we're just a little tip here on the end that we are losing as far as cutting. So when you get ready to sharpen a blade, this is the area that you want to concentrate on. Now, how do you know when a lawnmower blade is wore out? I'm going to show you what happens. I've got some other blades here. This is a blade where the fin is completely worn out on it. If you can see right here, this is very sharp because it's real thin. It is completely worn out, and you see we have got the straight angle, straight line down here, but then it just curves and it makes a little shape up here where the blade is just worn. So all your lift and pull, your fan tip on the blade starts to wear out as your blade wears out. And when you lose the fan tip, you've actually lost your lift and your suction that makes the grass actually pull up so the blade can actually give it a better cut. Now this blade became unbalanced because if you look at the other side of this particular blade, this side is still hasn't worn through yet. So you can tell, when a blade starts wearing out. But when you start to get thinning over here, now you got a little hole right here. When you start to get them thinning out really bad over here, and this is the back side of the blade that you're looking at, and you get this real deep indented curve, and the fan, once you start to lose the fan tip, you pretty much lost your cutting ability because your lift and pull is gone. Now I'm going to take one of these old blades and I'm going to show you what I do or how I sharpen a blade. Pretty simple, pretty easy. Now I've got this blade placed in a vise. I lock it down securely, and I'm just going to move so we can get a little bit better. You're going to see me from an angle. First thing is we want to do is I have some old shop glasses. These have the safety eyepieces on each side of them. They're really old. I look like a doctor or somebody with these things on. You always want to put your eye protection and your ear protection on before you start any project like this. This is a angle grinder. It has a handle on it. It's a Black & Decker model. There's all different kinds of models. There's a couple of different types of blades you can put on here. This is a grinding blade. You can put cutting blades on here, but this is grinding. That's all we're going to do. We're going to grind metal. So you get and what you want to do, you just come here and you want to sharpen this edge. Put an edge back on this blade. And so I'm gonna give you an idea about what you need to do that. Get your grinder, have your blade placed in a holding device so that you can concentrate on holding your grinder and getting the right angle on the blade. And you can look at the blade and tell if you've made the right kind of cut or if you're going at the right angle, because the blade's going to turn shiny on you. You can tell exactly where you've cut, which I'll demonstrate as soon as we make a little grind on this blade. So here we go. Okay, now for time purposes and everything, I'm going to demonstrate this, but here you can see this is what the shiny part that we actually cut, and you can take your finger and rub across there, and if you feel that it's sharp, if it feels like it'll cut you, then it will, more than likely. And you've got an edge on it. If you don't have enough there that you feel like it'll cut you, it still feels kind of dull, it feels like a butter knife or something, you can go back and cut some more. Now keep in mind, whatever you cut off of one side, you have to cut off of the other side to get balance on the blade. And there are blade balancers that you can buy from different places like hardware stores and those kind of things. I like to demonstrate one other. I'm going to sharpen the other side of this blade with another kind of grinder, and this is a bench grinder, and it has two different wheels on it. One's a fine and one is a coarse blade, which the coarse one cuts off a lot more than the fine one does. And to use a bench grinder, you're going to have to hold the blade down and run it across from side to side. You do not have as much flexibility with the bench grinder as you do with the angle grinder, where we had the blade in the vise. But both of these two methods will work. So let me demonstrate on the bench grinder here how we sharpen up a lawnmower blade. And I got to plug it in first. Okay. Okay, now we've got a power source. Alright. Always put on your eye protection, ear protection before you run the bench grinder as well. Okay, there's the side that we just worked on, and you see we got an edge here, but notice right here is where that's your concentration area, is right in there. That's where the blade does the bulk of its cutting. So keep that in mind, and you can sharpen either which way, using a bench grinder or an angle grinder. I like the angle grinder the best. Some people try to sharpen a blade with it still attached to the machine. I do not recommend that because you cannot really see what you're doing. But let me show you the comparison again with the blade that we just sharpened. And here we go, if you can see that. So it's pretty simple process to sharpen the blade. The hardest part is getting them off and putting them back on, getting under the mower and getting them back on.